My BMW X3M had a high-speed shunt with a 20-foot wall, which then led to me taking the biggest gamble of my career by buying this car and trying to rebuild it for use as the perfect winter daily driver. Now this job was much bigger than I ever could have anticipated, and this does mean that unfortunately I have missed my winter deadline, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna give up here. We've still got to get this car finished, but it's thrown me so many curveballs, it's made it one of the most challenging things I've ever done, which makes this car one of the most stressful cars I've ever had to rebuild. But although it's been hard work, we are now making good progress. But we are still a long way from done on this car. So with a lot of the front end still left to assemble, some more work to do on the interior and some body panels as well, where do we start? Well, I'm going to start right about here. That's because this is where the pyro fuse is contained, and it's been causing me nothing but problems. So I can start to remove that from the car. So here's the old one removed, and we can see in here, this is the broken pyro fuse. So these two should be connected, meaning that a current can pass between them. The reason why I've had some intermittent issues is because they were bridging, because they were touching ever so slightly. And here is the new one. You can see the pyro fuse is already contained, hiding all of that. All we've got to do is just bolt in the new one. And only coming in at just over £100 for this whole thing. Not too bad. Okay, new pyro fuse in, and that should be good as gold. But I'm gonna check it to make sure, because the last thing I want is to be chasing a reason why the engine doesn't start at the end of this video. Nice. So now we've got a bunch of stuff at the front of the car which needs sorting out, and rather annoyingly I've forgotten one thing, which is to install the anti-roll bar. Rookie error really, but I'm gonna see how much stuff I've got to take off to get that in place. I'm hoping it's just the rad pack, because we've got to do some stuff around here anyway. But first I thought I'd try it just from the wheel arch, and that didn't work, so then I had to remove the entire rad pack in order to be able to fit the anti-roll bar. But there's plenty of work to do around this area anyway, so I'm not too bothered about that. And now that the rad pack's removed, I can start trying to fit the anti-roll bar from the front of the car. So that means slotting it in around the engine and then trying to push it further through so I can tuck the other side in and get the mount bolted up. Which worked much better. Right, anti-roll bar is in. It was fiddly, but not too bad. But now I've got more room here. This enables me to do some of the other bits while the rad pack is off, because we've got the structure for all the bonnet latches and all the front bumper that everything sits on to go into place before the rad pack goes back in. And this is going to operate as my guide. This is the old crash bar and, well, what's left of the old one, basically. And here are my new bits. So I've got all of these here, got these boxes here, which should cover, hopefully, everything which I'm going to need. But we're going to find out, because normally it doesn't. So all of this is the structure which holds the bonnet latches, the bumper, the rad pack, and also the side radiators as well. And it was just like piecing together a big jigsaw puzzle. But everything has a home where it wants to sit perfectly, and once we've found all of those, I can now start fitting up some of the side radiators. Then it was in with these upright sections, but I had to make sure that I took the front part of the air intake into this because there's a little bracket for it. And then in with the bonnet latches. Okay, so the bonnet latches are in along with everything else which you've just seen, but now what I'm going to do is actually replace this kind of horn loom here, because, well, some of the plugs are completely missing off it. I've had to do some temporary repairs just to make the car a little bit happier when it was just idling and running, but it's not going to be ideal. So I've got them picked up again, a brand new one, and then we're going to have no issues. So with that new loom fitted, we can now fit this cross section which connects those two uprights which we just fitted, and also has two braces which go to the crash bar. I feel like I'm on a bit of a roll. I'm feeling good. Now, we've got the face of the car to go in. More specifically, the eyeballs, and that is the headlights. Now, I haven't bought these new because they cost an absolute fortune. So way back when, a few months ago, I went to buy these and I had to drive all the way to London to pick them up, and it was like a 2.5 hour drive each way, but I don't think the price was too bad. £1,500 for the pair, and they both look brand new. I can't see any dirt on them, I can't see any damage, they're immaculate. As long as they work, then I'm winning. The part number matches identically, but we know what the headlights on modern cars can be like. They can be a nightmare to get working. But less waffling, Christoph, let's get these headlights fitted to the car. And how good do they look? Now that those are in, we can fit up this piece which holds the front of the bumper in place. And look who's here! Hello! Mate, guys. Are you ready? Oh. Almost looks like a car.
Looks mint. Yeah man, it's coming together, ain't it?
Slowly. Now it's time to try these out, Ethan.
So do the honours.
Go on, give him a try, give him a try. Here we go. Is it going to be £1.5 grand down the drain?
That's the side lights on.
Okay, we've got nothing. And nothing. Try an indicator. Absolutely nothing.
Oh dear. They need to be coded. Modules. They might need to be coded.
Nice. Now what we're doing with this car now really is working through all of the faults to try and get to the finished product, hopefully having zero, and it's going to be a big task. Because only in the last video, even though this car's going back together, we had 160 odd fault codes to try and get rid of. Let's see how many we've got now. We've got a few more things plugged in. And to do that, it couldn't be easier, so we're just going to fire up the OBD11 app and stick the device into the OBD2 port, and with a touch of a button we can scan all of the modules in the car for fault codes. So with 28 modules scanned, let's see how many we've got. 79. We've nearly halved it from the last time we had this car running, which is pretty good going. But 79 fault codes, it's still a lot. We've still got a lot to fix on this. But for now, I'm going to clear all of the fault codes and see which ones come back, and then that gives me a better idea of what I've actually got to repair. But OBD11 can do so much more than that, because it's got a bunch of one-touch applications which can help you customize and maintain your car. Say for example, we fitted a new battery in the back of this. These need coding to the car. We can do that using OBD11 with one touch. But there's also loads of options for individualizing your car. I'm sure this is one we can all get on board with. We can make it so the start-stop function stays in its last remembered state. So say for example, I've turned it off, it will never come back on again unless I turn it on. But there's so many things we can do with this car. We can do screen mirroring for Android onto the iDrive screen. We can do video in motion so your passenger can watch movies while you're driving. But to get any of this, you're going to need to grab yourself an OBD11 device, just like this one, using the link in the description, and use discount code SLIX to save yourself some money off it and take control of your car. So thank you to OBD11 for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. Right, with one part failed, let's go back to what we know. Let's put the rad pack back in, and hopefully this goes a bit better. Well, although the headlights aren't working, we're not getting on too bad. All the rad packs back in, the side radiators are fully mounted and in their new home. And I've also put the drop links in and that brace underneath as well. And although I'm still missing a couple of bits of front end trim, I'm going to start putting together the bumper, because I need to start figuring out what else I'm missing from that front end. So I can put in the parking sensors. There's 6 on this front bumper, and also this trim which actually bolts to the car and holds the grills in place as well.
You slept inside the prison you built for all to share.
And then the lower grille section, which turns out actually is assembled off the bumper and then put in as one piece.
Everything you have loved is kept inside your heart. It weighs you down like an anchor, the things that you have done. Give me more, give me more, give me more of your pain. Give me more, give me more, give me more of your hate. Give me more.
And then on with the wiring loom for the front bumper.
You don't need it when you're gone. You held it for too long on this day.
And now that the front bumper is almost there, we're just waiting on a couple of last parts to be delivered. I can start assembling some of the air shrouds which go around the radiators on the front section.
On my mind is all that I am.
And also we can put this rubber tube into the bumper reinforcement, which works as part of the pedestrian protection system.
You're the windowless room with no way in. You kept the secret no one cared about.
Brake cooling vents going in.
It's time to let it out. Give me more, give me more, give me
Well, it was slow and painful progress, but progress is progress, and some of the parts have come in from BMW. I'm really hoping I can get the front end on this car, but first I need to fix a bodge, because way down here somewhere there is a pipe which we had to kind of make work in the last video, and now luckily the pipe has come in, meaning that I can fit it to the car. But I've made the job a lot harder for myself by fitting everything else in the way. Nice.
everything you have loved.
Right, the final pieces for my bumper are now here. So we've got one piece of the grille and the other side grille section, and the same for the other side. And finally, the parking sensors. This is the original one. It's a little bit damaged and we're missing one because it broke in the crash. Now I bought these ones from a breakers local to me, and I've just painted them myself. I did it with a rattle can, but I think they look absolutely fine. So we can clip that in there, something like that. That was satisfying. And clip in the sensor. Whoa. Now that's looking much better. There has been one thing which is confusing me, because I've got a plug here, and the same on the other side of the bumper. So that's 4 plugs for the bumper which need plugging in. And on the car, it's a different story, because we have a grand total of 1. 1 plug. Now, something there don't seem right to me. But this is about the only time I've been glad that I've been living on the set of Scrap Heap Challenge, because I've got the old bumper still, so I can compare what's going on here. This is the plug which I've found, which we've got, and then the other ones have all got tape over them, which says to me they are not used. So I'm going to tape over the plugs on the other bumper and just use the one like it is there and hope for the best. So as far as I can tell, the bumper is ready to go on. We've got the air temp sensor here. There is a couple of loose plugs, but I'm just going to presume that, like this one, they're not used. I'm going to have to deal with them and tidy them up a little bit at a later date, or, you know, just before the bumper goes on, I guess. But there's one more thing which I need to sort, which is the oil cooler, which sits right about here and bolts into some brackets under here. But this is what I'm currently using because we had to bridge it to run the car anyway. So before I do that, we've got a problem to fix, as you can see under here. So please allow me to take you underneath the car, which is lovely and tight. So we can see here where this oil leak is coming from, this sort of area. And if I get right under here, that is where our oil leak is coming from, that line just there. That is an oil cooler line. Now these are actually brand new ones which I've changed because the original ones were damaged, and the top one is fine. That's not leaking at all as far as I can tell. But the bottom one seems to be pissing out for no real reason at all as far as I can see, apart from I must have just fitted it wrong. So we've tried twice now to get that in right and it's still doing the same thing. I'm hoping there's nothing else that I've damaged by doing that, and I'm just going to hope that it's just a bit of a nuisance to get right. So I'm going to give that a few more goes, and I'm not going to lie, it's quite a fiddly job. So as soon as I get it right, or we find the cause of the problem, I'll let you know. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say I've found the cause of our problem. Can you see that there? Yep, Doofus here managed to take a chunk out of the O-ring on the new oil line when I was fitting it. Now luckily I've still got the old ones, so I've refitted one of the O-rings off that into the car, and I think that's fixed it. Fingers crossed. That's definitely going to have caused us a problem though. Nom, 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 nom. Now I know a few of you have been asking for merch for a long time, and it is finally here. We have some Slicks branded t-shirts. I've had these designs going for a long time now. I wanted to do these for passing over 100,000 subscribers, which I know has took a long time for me to get round to doing this, but it's not been a quick process. We've had Helen Stanley, the pop artist, do the design for the back of the t-shirt and also redesign the Slicks logo, and then also getting it onto a stonewashed high quality t-shirt that's going to be packaged right and I'm going to be proud to sell. I wanted to make sure it was right and it lived and breathed exactly what we do here. That's why we've got the buy it, fix it, break it t-shirt with the i30N, which shows that cars aren't just for art, they're to be used as well, and that's sort of exactly why I started doing this. And I've tried to pick what I think are going to be the most popular sizes, but I'm also going to be doing some giveaways in this as well. Because if you buy one of the 50 t-shirts, I'll be giving 3 of you a Slicks hoodie and 5 of you a Slicks cap. So to go and grab yourself a t-shirt and be entered in with a chance of winning a hoodie or a hat, use the second link in the description. But I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. I'm feeling positive, and I think it's time for a mod. It's time for a modification on this car. And this is what I'm going to start with, the genuine BMW M Performance spoiler. It's picked up a bit of dust because I've been storing it for a little while, but this is a complete replacement for the boot spoiler up here. And the great thing about having a new one is that I can see exactly how it fits. So we can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts underneath and 2 clips. So it pulls off that way, but unbolts from this way. So I've got to take the trim off from underneath there, take those out, yank the old one off. Well, that all came off worryingly easily. So first one, am I going to drop it? If so, I'm in for a bad day. And I should be able to kind of pop this forward. There we go. And now you can see how the new and the old one differ. You can see, well, I've put them in the same place, so this one kind of has a gap here and sticks out quite a bit more, has the M Performance logo up here, and also is in gloss black rather than grey. It should be just as easy to install it back to how it was. Right, it's on, let's take a look. Ooh. Damn. Yeah, that's pretty nice actually, not too over the top. Genuine BMW part, so fits perfectly. But now it's time to get back to the repair stuff, and we've got to drain the oil out of the car so we can fit the oil cooler up and also give the car another service to make sure the engine is perfectly flushed. So now there's no oil in the car, I can remove the section of pipe which we used to bridge the oil cooler and replace it with the oil cooler itself, making sure not to nip any of the O-rings when I'm fitting it. Then to get to the oil filter housing, I had to pop the airbox off. And now I can remove the old oil filter, which hasn't been in there for very long at all, and replace it with a brand new one. And now with that on, I can now fill this engine up with oil. And also fill up the coolant, because hopefully, don't want to jinx it, but this could be the last time we have to mess with the coolant system. And that is us cooking with gas. Coolant in, oil in, and also the, ooh, bat slipped over. The charge cooler coolant is in as well. So, now it's time to start it up and see whether we can run it up to temperature this time and retain all of the fluids. I'm praying we are, because then that'll be the next step in towards getting this car back on the road. And I can smell it now. I can smell it. We're so close to victory. If I can find the key for this car. Is there anything I've forgotten? We will find out. She sounds smooth. Underneath the car, things are looking pretty good. I can't see any oil pissing out of anywhere particularly, or any coolant either for that matter. One thing I've also just remembered, which I'd forgotten about, is the transmission fluid. I've just spat on the lens, sorry about that. So when I put the transmission fluid originally, it turns out I actually put the wrong one in, and I only noticed thanks to one of you guys commenting, and I appreciate that. I was trying to do it a little bit cheaper, but I've just been to BMW and picked up 10 litres of their transmission fluid. Now I'm confident it can stay in there. So I've got to put as many of the, well, drain out the old stuff and then put as many of these as I can in when it's cold. Luckily, the thread of the bottle is the perfect size for my hand pump thing, so I can just change over the top from each bottle, which is nice. So I've got to drain the transmission and then I can put in the certified BMW transmission fluid. But this was not the easiest thing to fill. Well, I think everything is looking good. Temperatures inside are looking healthy. I've put 6 litre bottles of transmission fluid in. I'm gonna wait for a minute, wait for a bit longer, and then just try and get an extra litre in. It says that it's got a 7 litre gearbox oil capacity, so I want to try and get that 7th in if possible, but I know you need to try and like circulate the system, so that's what I'm trying to do. But apart from that, sounds pretty good, it sounds nice. I'm getting excited, I'm getting ready. Pepping myself up here. Getting hyped to drive this car. Okay, don't do what I did, and do not try and fill it up when it's that warm, because it goes everywhere. So it needs to be, I think it's like 30 degrees operating temperature. It's obviously well over that now. That's why it's done this. Luckily, I've got plenty to put some more in and top it up. So I'm gonna let it cool down, start it up again, circulate it, top it back up. But yeah, that's a messy mistake. Now, one big problem that we have at the moment is these lights. Even though they look pretty much brand new and the part numbers are an exact match of the old ones, they don't work. They're useless. They're purely for decorative purposes, but Dips is not, because he is linked up via the interwebs with Defined Coding, who are gonna code these new lights to this car. Fingers crossed they're gonna work. I can't see a reason why it wouldn't, but you never know with these new cars. They can be really, really funny with things like this, so let's see if we can get them going. So virtually linked, Dips from P1 Auto Keys and Kyle from Defined Coding got to work on my car and tried coding in the new headlights. Right. No messing about, let's give it a go.
You see time.
Right. Well, actually, I've just seen already that they are actually on. They are. Right, we've got headlights, side lights. Have we got indicators? Yeah! Nice. Bang in. So we now have working headlights. Big up Dips, P1 Auto Keys, and Kyle at Defined Coding. If you need any BMW coding, his link is going to be in the description. And if you need keys, always go to Dips. You don't have to go anywhere else. But headlights working, I'm chuffed. They look sick, to be fair. They look really good. Yeah. Makes it look moody. Well, we are now so close to having this car on the road. So close. There's still a lot of fault codes though, and still surprisingly a lot of work to do. 76 codes on the car is still a lot, and well, we really need to get that sorted. But that's going to be it for this video. But I want to make sure these videos are the best they can possibly be. That's why I'm not going to upload on this car again until it's roadworthy. So I best get to work. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. It truly means the world to me, and I will catch you next time.